So we work very closely with governments to think about better policies for better lives, and that's the value we bring. We bring economic analysis, we bring data and expertise to bear on the policy questions on climate, and we can do that across a number of sectors. We don't just focus on environmental issues, we focus on investment, finance, trade, development. So these are all important in the climate change context, and we can integrate those perspectives and give countries really practical policy recommendations and advice.
Ultimately, how much pressure can you really exert on your 34 or so members?
It's not a question of exerting pressure. What we do is we try to support them in achieving the best policies they can to improve their well-being and the policies that they have in place. So we use the data, we use our expertise to service that. It's clearly a membership organisation, so we're working with them as partners, not trying to pressure them into anything.
And over the course of the year, there have been several important studies by the OECD and announcements which have led to, shall we say, the momentum going into Paris. Could you just discuss a couple of those, do you think, Stephanie? Would that be... Sure, would you... Sure. Okay.
Well, I mean, we've produced a range of different interventions. We've done a major report that looks at, as Stephanie said, how the different policies across the economy interact and may impede or add to the costs of making a low-carbon transition. We've also done a study where we've looked at the intended nationally determined contributions, the emissions reductions that countries are intending to make after 2020, and we've looked at how countries have performed historically, and it's clear that a lot of countries need to step up their level of action if they're to meet even the targets that they've set themselves. And of course we know that the INDCs themselves are not consistent with a cost-effective pathway to 2 degrees, which would be even more ambitious. So we're bringing clarity, transparency, comparability across countries, and that helps to inform the policy debate.
If we discuss the climate finance report, which came out with this 60 billion figure, which was celebrated as some as evidence that we are on the path to getting the famed 100 billion by 2020, do you think developing countries have trust in your figures?
What we've done with the report is to give the latest state of play of climate finance. The data is based on parties' expected reporting to the UNFCCC in January next year. And we've provided transparency on that, aggregating the information to provide the latest available figure. There is obviously, understandably, still a lot of discussion under the UNFCCC on climate finance and discussions still to be had. But what the report does is it provides the transparency for that discussion to be had in an informed way.
It appears even at COP21 it's become a bit of a political football, so to speak, but this idea of getting a common framework behind climate finance is clearly essential. Many people advocate it, but how do we really get there?
I mean, I think it's got to start here at COP in terms of the discussion amongst the parties. I think transparency is an important element to that understanding, and in terms of kind of moving forward, making sure there is clarity on what is agreed upon, and then the sufficient MRV, the measurement, reporting and verification processes behind that going forward.
And what have both of you seen so far at the COP? Have you been tracking the negotiations, particularly on these two issues?
Yeah, we've been following the negotiations. We've got a team of people who work very closely with the negotiators. They've been in as many meetings as they can get in. We talk to people in the corridors just like everybody else here. And things are obviously in a state of flux. We're still waiting for a new text from the UNFCCC this afternoon. And if we can get a positive political engagement over the next few days on that text, let's hope we get a good, strong agreement.
Are we going to get a robust framework at Paris, or is it a case of kicking the can down the road and sorting it out at another COP?
No, Paris is an important landmark. This is the point at which we can really signal a decisive change. We've got the INDCs, over 185 I think at the last count of INDCs. That's an important base on which we can build. What Paris then needs to do is to give dynamism and direction to the future efforts. We need to accelerate our mitigation efforts. We need to have transparency, clarity on what countries are doing so that they have confidence that other countries are doing what they say, and they can therefore be confident in moving forward themselves.
Stephanie, is that something you echo?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly a view I echo. I mean, it's about having the conversation now and getting the right framework in place, and then having the processes set up to support that going forward.
Stephanie, Simon, thanks ever so much for your time.